The ZH-Car pirates had made many mistakes in their long and profitable careers, but taking Jennifer Reeves hostage would prove to be their last. The cruise ship Celestial Harmony had been gliding through the Andromeda trade routes when the attack came. Most species in the galaxy had learned to avoid the ZH-Car, a brutish race of reptilian raiders who controlled 3 star systems through fear and violence alone. But humans, still new to the galactic community, hadn't yet memorized all the danger zones. Jennifer had been sipping synthesized coffee in the observation deck, watching nebulae paint the darkness with swirls of purple and gold, when the hull shuddered. Alarms screamed. The ship's AI announced in 14 languages that they were under attack. The ZH-Car boarded within minutes. They were massive creatures, standing nearly 8 feet tall, with scales the color of gunmetal and eyes like molten copper. Their leader, a scarred veteran named Graltok, surveyed the terrified passengers with satisfaction. Insectoid trillins huddled together, their antennae flat against their heads. The crystalline lumens dimmed themselves in fear. Even the usually proud Centaurians lowered their equine heads in submission. Then Graltok's gaze fell on Jennifer. She stood alone, a small human female barely reaching 5.5 feet, with dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She didn't cower. She met his eyes with a level stare that made something uncomfortable twist in his stomach. "This one," he growled, pointing a clawed finger at her. "She comes with us." The other pirates grabbed her and Jennifer didn't resist. She calculated odds, assessed options, and decided cooperation was the smartest play. For now. They dragged her to their ship, a predatory vessel that looked like it had been assembled from the corpses of other spacecraft. The message to the Galactic Council was simple: 10 million credits or the human dies. What the ZH-Car didn't know was that Jennifer Reeves wasn't just any tourist. She was on vacation from her job as a search and rescue specialist in Earth's most hostile environments. She had survived 3 days in the Sahara with a broken leg, had pulled 7 people from a collapsed building in Tokyo, and had once talked down an armed hostage-taker in Mumbai. More importantly, they didn't know about Kevin Moss. Kevin was in the ship's gym, mid-deadlift, when the attack happened. By the time he reached the observation deck, Jennifer was gone. The crew tried to calm him. The Galactic Council would negotiate, they said. The insurance would cover it. These things happened in space. Kevin said nothing. He simply returned to his cabin and began making calls. He was Jennifer's younger brother, though at 6'3" and built like he'd been carved from granite. Few would guess they were related. Where Jennifer had channeled her intensity into saving lives, Kevin had joined Earth's newly formed Interstellar Marine Corps. He'd completed 3 tours in the outer colonies, training alongside species who had been fighting wars when humanity was still discovering fire. The Galactic Council moved slowly, bound by protocols and committees. Kevin had no such limitations. Within 2 hours, he'd contacted 7 former squad mates scattered across 4 systems. Within 4 hours, they'd requisitioned a fast-attack ship through channels that were technically legal but would require substantial paperwork later. Within 6 hours, they were burning hard toward ZH-Car space. The team was a mix of human and alien, united by shared combat experience. There was Marcus, a demolitions expert who could make a bomb from 3 paperclips in spite. Zix, a Trillin whose psychic abilities made her invaluable for recon. Thorn, a Centaurian whose 4 arms could wield 4 weapons with devastating precision. And Kevin, who carried the quiet fury of a man who'd promised his mother he'd always protect his sister. On the ZH-Car ship, Jennifer was learning the layout. They'd locked her in a cargo hold, thinking the reinforced door sufficient. They hadn't searched her thoroughly, dismissing her as too small to be a threat. It was a fatal oversight. The hairpin she wore wasn't just decorative. It was tungsten carbide with a sharpened tip. The bracelet on her wrist contained 50 feet of microwave cable rated for climbing. Her shoes had ceramic inserts that could crack a jaw if she kicked hard enough. But Jennifer didn't rush. She observed, she listened. The ZH car were overconfident, speaking freely near her cell. She learned there were 15 pirates on board. She learned their shift rotations. She learned that Graltok kept the ship's override codes on a data chip around his neck. She also learned they'd killed hostages before when ransoms weren't paid quickly enough. That changed her timeline. On the second day, when a young pirate brought her food, Jennifer struck. The tungsten pin went into his shoulder joint, right where the scales were thinnest. He dropped, gasping. She caught him, used the cable to bind him, and took his weapon, a crude plasma pistol that felt heavy in her hands. She'd never shot anyone before, but she'd trained extensively in weapon safety and tactical scenarios, because that's what Jennifer did. She prepared for everything. The ship's corridors were narrow, designed for the ZH car's bulk. That gave her an advantage. She moved quietly, using ventilation shafts and maintenance crawlways that the larger pirates couldn't access. She disabled 3 more pirates before alarms began to wail. Kevin's team hit the ZH car ship like a hammer on glass. They tracked it to a debris field in an abandoned system, where the pirates thought themselves safe. Zix had used her psychic abilities to map the interior, locating 15 life signs, 14 ZH car, and 1 human. The assault was surgical. Marcus breached the hull in 3 places simultaneously, causing chaos. Thorn led the frontal assault, his 4 arms wielding plasma rifles that carved through the ZH car defenses. Zix provided real-time intelligence, her mind touching the pirates' thoughts, predicting their moves. Kevin went straight for Jennifer's location. He fought through the corridors with mechanical efficiency, each shot precise, each movement calculated. 2 ZH car tried to ambush him from a side passage. He killed the first with a headshot, used the second's momentum to throw him into a bulkhead hard enough to crack scales, then finished it with a knife to the throat. He was 3 corridors from Jennifer's last known position when he heard plasma fire ahead. He rounded the corner to find his sister, blood on her face and stolen pistol in her hands, standing over Graltok's corpse. The data chip hung from her fingers. They stared at each other for a heartbeat. "Took you long enough," Jennifer said. Kevin felt a laugh bubble up, part relief, part pride. "You seemed busy." "I disabled 6. How many did you get?" "Teams got 8 confirmed." "So we're done here." She tossed him the data chip. "This has their banking codes. I figure we earned a salvage fee." Behind them, explosions echoed as Marcus set demolition charges. The ZH car ship was going to become another piece of debris in this forgotten system, a warning to anyone who thought humans were easy prey. The galactic news networks went wild with the story. A human tourist had been taken hostage. Before the Galactic Council could even finish assembling their negotiation committee, she'd freed herself and killed half her captors. Her brother and a mixed-species strike team had eliminated the rest. The entire operation, from kidnapping to resolution, had taken 43 hours. Ambassadors from a dozen species appeared on talk shows to discuss the human problem. They were too aggressive, some said, too emotional, too willing to use violence. Others pointed out that the ZH car had been raiding that sector for 12 years, taking thousands of hostages, killing hundreds. The Galactic Council had filed complaints and imposed sanctions that the pirates ignored. It took humans less than 2 days to end the threat permanently. In the aftermath, Jennifer returned to Earth to resume her vacation in peace, this time in the Rocky Mountains, where the only dangers were natural and manageable. Kevin went back to his unit, though the paperwork for the unauthorized requisition of military assets would follow him for months. The Galactic Council passed new regulations about human tourists, requiring warnings about their disproportionate response capabilities. Pirates across 3 sectors suddenly found the trade routes less profitable, especially if humans might be aboard. And in a bar on Mars, where soldiers from 100 worlds gathered to drink and trade stories, a Centaurian raised his glass to a Trillian and said what they were all thinking. "Remind me never to take a human hostage." The Trillian's antennae vibrated with agreement. They don't negotiate, they don't wait, they just come for you. "It's not rational," an insectoid observer chittered. An older human marine, scarred and gray-haired, overheard them. She smiled into her whiskey. "That's because you're thinking of it wrong," she said. "To you, a hostage is a bargaining chip. To us, a hostage is family, and humans don't negotiate for family." She drained her glass and stood. "We go to war." The end.